Hey, this is Gina Grad.
Hi, this is Teresa Strasser.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Errico.
Hey there. This is Casey Cavalier.
I'm Rocky Rose.
And you are listening to The Jay Franzi Show.
Lucky you.
Welcome to The Jay Franzi Show. A behind-the-curtain look at the entertainment industry with insights you can't pay for and stories you've never heard. Now, here's your host, Jay Franzi.
Well, hello, and welcome to the show. I am Jay Franzi, and this is your backstage pass to the entertainment industry. This week, we get to talk with a country music recording artist that's keeping the honky-tonks alive. We get to talk with Avery Glenn Crabtree. We'll talk to him about the passion that he brings to his performances, what the honky-tonk scene is like these days, and we'll discuss how starting in bluegrass has shaped his performances. Now, Avery, he's an absolutely amazing recording artist, and I cannot wait to talk with him tonight. So if you would like to join in, comment, or fire off any questions, please head over to jfranzi.com. Now, let's get started. Avery, my friend, how are you?
How are you? I'm doing so good, Jay, that I got to sit on both hands just to keep away from everybody.
There you go. You're known for your passion, so how do you channel such passion into your performances?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Well, I am what some people call an empath. I kind of tap into things. If I'm singing a sad song, I'm going to think of something really sad and tap into that. Or if I'm singing let's say a sexy song, like a Prince song or whatever,
right?
I'll turn myself on in some way. You know, you close your eyes, use your imagination, and just tap into it. And then, like, if I'm an aggressive, kiss my butt type song, you got to get that kind of attitude. It really, singers really are actors. You got to kind of act.
Right.
Most, actors, they get into character, and stay in character. They don't want to be around people, want to be around them.
Right.
Kind of tap into that level of insanity. I don't know. I just I close my eyes and just let it out. It's really, some people go to the gym, some people run, some people booze it up or whatever. I sing. That's my stress reliever. That's how I let it all out.
Well, I've had a chance to see you perform a couple times now, and the real aggressive songs are the ones that I seem to relate to. I mean, you get up there and you just seem to lay it all out on the line when you're playing those songs. Do any of those songs hold some sort of special place to you?
Wow, that's a great question, Jay. Every song I sing has a special place. There's some songs, like I used to play in an older band. We did more like top 40 stuff. And I can't sing a song if I can't feel that song. If I can't relate to that song in some way, I can't really do it. You can sing them, but as far as digging deep, like we were just talking about, it don't really catch traction with me. I've got to feel that song. I tell you what, have you heard the new Red Clay Strays? They're awesome. They've got that raw, that passion feel that I really like. There's a song called Wondering Why. I love that kind of feel. So songs like that, I can really tap into. And most people's never heard them before. And I'm kind of real partial to not really the popular songs. I mean, I'll do them if people want to hear them, but I like the B side of things. I like deep cuts. Songs people should be listening to instead of, top 40 force-fed stuff.
So what is it that you like most about being on stage?
Playing with the band, whether there's 5 or 500 or 1,000 people out in front of you. It's like a fellowship. That's what I really get off on, is like hearing the kick, the bass, harmony. It's like, I ain't got the right words. I'm not learned. It's a fellowship with the musicians I'm on stage with.
Right, that connection.
That's you're talking about, like connecting with a song. If I'm by myself doing acoustic, it's okay. But like when you got a band up there, you're communicating musically, and everybody's in sync. You know, you all do the same thing without thinking about it. Putting a passionate song by myself, it's okay. But when you got like a great guitar player, a great bass player, a drummer, and it all comes together, man, you can just let it go. You know what I mean? And it just feed off that. That's what I really like. Actually, I'm a guitar player first, singer second. If it was up to me, I wanted to be Richie Sambora growing up. I didn't want to be a frontman. You know, I wanted to play lead guitar and sing harmony, you know. But like, I guess they just stuck me up front because I'm full of crap and talk to people.
Well, it's lucky for us that you're the front man. I mean, your voice is very unique. It's got that gravelly feel to it, and it's got a lot of power and emotion behind it. So I think we'd be at a loss if we didn't have that.
Thank you very much.
And your band is incredible.
My father played bluegrass music.
Oh yeah,
and you know, there's phenomenal musicians, top to bottom, left to right, in bluegrass. So like, I learned a long time ago to surround myself with superior musicians, people that are better than me. That's how you grow. That's how you get better, in my opinion.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's in any industry. You surround yourself with people who are better than you are, and you're going to do nothing but grow. With that said, I mean, in having a band like that, what kind of challenges do you guys face?
Oh gosh, scheduling, because they're great musicians, and you know, I like for my guys that play with me to play with other people. That's how you grow, also.
Sure.
You know, you learn, and they have different feels, different ways to do songs, different tones, different styles of playing, and usually those caliber musicians are in demand. So like, scheduling is really the hardest thing, you know, because these guys go back and forth to Nashville, and they're busy, you know, so you really got to stay on top of the scheduling.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, like you said, they do travel back and forth to Nashville, but that's because they're so sought after. I mean, they're very, very good musicians. So the fact that you're able to surround yourself with musicians of that caliber, and you're able to play some of the venues that you play, even some of the crowds. I mean, you get in front of some pretty passionate crowds.
They'll let you know real quick if they like it or not.
Yes.
Which is fine. I enjoy that. I like honesty. There's too many people telling way too many musicians what they think they want to hear instead of being straight up, you know.
So when you're playing some of these, let's say, smaller venues, do you have any interactions with the audience that are just insane?
Oh God. Let me tell you this quick story.
Yeah, please.
And I felt awful after this. I did. And like, one of my pet peeves is someone grabbing my mic stand. 9 times out of 10, the electric in the place isn't that good, so it's going to shock your lips off, for one. And then I want to keep my teeth, you know. So this older Middle Eastern gentleman was there. This was at Austin City. And he grabs the base of a mic stand, kind of shakes it. He's grinning from ear to ear. I'm like, hey, buddy, don't grab a mic stand. He does it again. You know, he shakes it. I said, buddy, and I told you once, if you grab my mic stand again, I'm going to kick your teeth out with my boots. And I would have. So he goes to grab it again. Son, I go, and then his family comes running up. Just running up. I'm thinking he's just been an asshole, you know. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. He doesn't speak any English, but he really, really loves your music. The guy was just showing his appreciation for the music. Passionate. And then there I was getting ready to kick his teeth out with the heel of my boot. And I felt awful. And I cussed him. Of course, he couldn't understand what I was saying, but then I felt bad. I felt awful because his family was scared to death. There they are around a bunch of rednecks, for one. And then, but he was really loving my music. He didn't know how to speak to me, so he just was, hey, I love your music. You know, hey.
Right.
And there I was threatening him. He had no idea. Bless his heart. Oh, and another. I got a lot of these.
Oh, please.
We were playing one night, and my drummer, Don Parker.
Awesome drummer.
Don's great. Been with me for a lot of years. Well, this guy wanted to play drums. He comes up to me and he's like, I want to play drums. I said, they're not my drums. I can't say yeah or nay, you know. Of course, he goes to Don, and Don's like, I don't know if I want this guy to play or not, but I'll let him if you want him to. I said, no, they're your drums. So I'd rather he not. Well, this guy's pacing back and forth like Darth Maul, Phantom Menace, right? Stage, because I'm watching him. Now, the drummer is usually in it he's not paying attention. He's playing. All of a sudden, this guy makes a leap to the stage and goes to make one more leap up to the drum riser. Like, I don't know what he's going to do, Donnie. Well, I catch him by the back of his collar and just sling him down the floor. You never know with people. Hey, I've seen people at classy joints, a place called the Racket Club here in Lexington, really classy place. And this guy walks up to another fella and just pops him in the face with a wine glass. The stem from the wine glass goes into his jugular.
Ooh.
And blood just squirts like 10 feet. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, blood's everywhere. Everybody's standing around. I just put my guitar down and call an ambulance. I mean, you see all kinds of stuff. Some of the wildest stuff, the harshest, meanest stuff I've seen have been in classy places.
Come from the nicer places.
Yeah. And then like the honky-tonk, seedy-looking joints, had more fun. People are nice. It's weird. It's different.
Well, you mentioned that. I've seen you play at a couple of the honky-tonks. I've seen you most recently over at Austin City Saloon, which was an amazing place. It's the first time I've ever been there. It was really cool. I've also seen you over at the Tipsy Cow.
Good little place.
They're both really cool, but the crowd looks like it would be a rough crowd, but they're really not. I mean, they're as nice as can be. I'm sure they can get rough.
It really depends on what kind of vibe you're putting out on stage. Really, you can control what's going on, the ambience of a room, really, by what kind of music you're playing and what kind of attitude you really have. If people are paying attention, subconsciously, you can affect them.
Well, I think that's a good point. I mean, some of these honky-tonks are pretty rough in nature or can be pretty rough in nature, but when you get on stage, you have a presence to you, and you play music that not only do they want to hear, but you play a wide range of music, and it just keeps them involved, and they get up and they dance, or they, put their fists in the air and rock out. So, I mean, it seems to have a vibe to it, and I think that vibe comes from, like you said, you being on stage, almost directing the way that crowd reacts. And I think that the behavior of the crowd comes from you, not from them.
You nailed it. That's it, Jay. What kind of mood you want them in, And one thing that I do that I think it's a necessity, and I try to cater to the women in the club more so than the men, in the sense of the women really dictate the night, because if they're dancing and having a good time,
then the guys are going to have a good time.
The women are open and having fun. It's going to make for a great night. And one thing that I try to do is, like I always say, if you want to go to a concert or see a rock star, you go to Rupp Arena.
Right.
You want to have a good time and a party, come see me at a club.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you are a star and you are an amazing performer, singer, guitar player, all that stuff. However,
I appreciate that.
I see your point, and I do. I go to a lot of shows. I get to go to the arena shows, to the honky-tonk shows, and anything in between. And I would personally, most cases, prefer to be at the honky-tonk. It just is something that you feel like you're involved in the performance. You feel like
it's personal.
There. Right.
You're approachable. And one thing I do a little different than most, I don't use set lists. For one, I have ADD real bad. I won't go by it because I'll hit some kind of vibe. They're in a Prince vibe, or they're in a 90s country vibe. So if you go by a set list, it gets mundane, and they can look at their watch and, they're going to play this next. And like the type of musicians that I hire to play with me, they're so good that they're going to get bored. And a bored musician will get drunk on you. And
just the other night, you were on stage, and I noticed there's no set list. There's nothing you guys are referencing. But you would start playing, and then the band would just jump in. I mean, they have no idea what you're going to play next.
Not a clue.
I mean,
now my drummer, Donnie, he's been with me so long that he can tell right before we start what I'm noodling on, on my guitar, of what we're getting ready to do. He can tell. One thing that he has learned from me is my body language. Pay attention and control the stage by just my body language. And, that makes it fun for all of us on stage, because it gets playing the same stuff over and over. It gets boring. Shoot, we might even make up a song. It just keeps it fun. I believe if we're having fun, me and the band, if we're having fun, that crowd's going to have fun.
Well, you play that aggressive honky-tonk and country music, but the other night you even played Stevie Wonder and then followed with Metallica. So, I mean, you do have the ability to just pull anything out, and it goes back to the talent of your musicians that they're able to just follow along with whatever you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that said, I mean, you've been playing for a long time, and you've got these musicians who are able to read your body language. How has the band and the scene changed over the time that you've been performing?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a great question, Jay. I didn't expect you to ask me all these good questions. Well, for one thing, the bars have changed. The clubs have changed in the sense of back when I started, like playing full time, 97, 98, you had house bands. There's no house bands anymore. And you could go out almost any night of the week and hear a phenomenal house band. I mean, just these guys blow you away. Nowadays, okay, I had a guy, he said, well, I can pay you this if you'll bring a crowd. I said, hey, buddy, it's not my job to bring a crowd. It's my job to keep the crowd you have. I mean, yeah, it's cool if people come, but it's my job to keep them there. And it's like these clubs have left it solely dependent on the artists to do all the advertising, bring in the people, and it's like it's really not supposed to be that way. They're supposed to have a crowd, and I'm supposed to keep them there. Now, don't get me wrong, there are clubs, Tipsy, they do a lot of their own advertising. Scotty, he does a great job of that. A lot of times I don't even have to make an ad. I just share it. Or he'll send me the pictures to post. That's a big help. That's a big help. And clubs don't pay like they used to. Back in the late 90s, those places, they had lines at the door, no matter who's playing there. People has changed. I guess I don't know if it's a younger crowd. I look out now on stage and I can see people on their phones. Some musicians and artists, I've noticed, they expect people to sit and listen to everything they're doing instead of talking. People are going to talk. People are going to text. You just have to make them listen to you.
You have to
call them out,
Yeah.
And some people expect just to sit there and sing. And if you don't keep their attention, they're going to talk or do something else. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about it's a party, whether it's a DJ playing, whether it's a band playing. So I think it's kind of presumptuous or arrogant to think that, hey, I'm here. You have to listen to me.
Right.
I'm this, and it's a party. I don't even get the words half right most of the time. So they don't, it's just a good time. Or I might try a song I don't really know, but they want to hear it. It's a good time. That's what they come there to forget stuff and enjoy themselves, maybe hook up or, get their buzz on or whatever. And so it's like, it's really a party, basically. And it would be arrogant of me to think that, hey, I'm the man. You need to sit and not talk and listen to what I'm singing all the time.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. I mean, it's the clubs or the honky-tonk or the venue's job to get the people in the door. It's your job to keep them in the door. So you need to be able to engage them. So if you don't want them on the phone, do something that's going to cause them not to be on the phone. Either get them on the dance floor or get them involved.
Tell them a joke. Do something. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned something earlier that I want to circle back to, and that's the relationship between you and the GM of the honky-tonk or the owner of the honky-tonk. Is it your style that helps you with the relationships with the bar owners, or is it the relationship with the bar owners that help you deliver your style?
Wow, that's another great question. There's some managers or bar owners stuff that kind of limit you. They want you to do all top 40 or this, or they try to control who you get on stage, and then there's some people that's all like Scott at Tipsy Cow, buddy of mine, played football against him in 1994, but he is for the artist in the sense of he lets you do what you do on stage instead of catering mainly to the crowd because you can't satisfy everybody. You know this.
Right.
He caters to the artists. You know, he's not the only one. I'm just using him for an example. And he frees me up to not have in the back of my head, I better not do this. The bar owner might not like it. He lets artists be free to do what they do. When you can not think about what you're doing and let it come out naturally, that's where it's at. People are like, you did this. I'm like, oh, I did, didn't I? Well, I didn't even think about it. You know, that kind of freedom makes a big difference. If you got a good entertainer up there and they're not thinking about, am I going to offend someone, or a bar manager's probably not going to like this, or whatever, then it frees them up to be artistic.
Well, let's go back to your performing for a second, because as I mentioned earlier, you have a wide range of musical styles that you bring into your show, even though it's a country rock feel. But with that said, with all those different genres, who are the artists that have influenced you along the way?
Oh, wow. Well, it's growing up, my dad, I have 3 other brothers that play and sing. We started off mainly bluegrass for the harmony. You know, my dad would take us on trips and stuff, and he would say, you know, Avery, you sing this part. You know, Donovan, you sing this part. Chester Ray, you sing this part. Lawrence, you sing this part. We would have like 4-part harmony everywhere we went. We were getting groomed and didn't know it, you know. And my dad was pretty hardcore when it came to bluegrass, gospel, Waylon and George Jones, which is great. But my mother, bless her heart, she's awesome. My mother she loves Motown music. She's from North Carolina. She is from a place called Robinson County, North Carolina, which is where she is full-blooded Native American. She's Lumbee Indian. She's like 13 brothers and sisters. And, you know, going down there every summer, she would feed me stuff like Otis Redding, Solomon Burke, you know, Tina Turner, stuff like that. And now don't tell your dad I give you this stuff. You know. So my influence, man, that's a great question. There's so many. First and foremost, I'm a huge Elvis fanatic.
Okay.
I've been my whole life, ever since I was little. I always tell people I was Elvis reincarnated because when he died, 3 months later, I was born in 1977. So, like, I love Elvis. I like all Elvis, from early 50s Elvis to 70s bloated velvet Elvis. You know, I like it all. Elvis controlled he might have a 30-piece band up there. He controlled every musician on that stage, and they watched him like a hawk. So I kind of stole that from him in a sense. He was a stage general, Elvis was, and I love that. So first and foremost, Elvis. Now, see, there's 2 different ones. There's vocally influenced and there's guitar influenced. Guitar-wise, let's see, I started off being a Jimi Hendrix, Clapton guy. Then I got a little older and got into the Jerry Reed chicken picking. Well, you know, James Burton was a chicken picker, so there's so many influences. That's a hard question, Jay. I am a melungeon of artists.
Well, you seem to be a sponge and just take it all in.
If it comes from the heart, I like it. Billy Joe Shaver in the 70s wrote all of Waylon Jennings' hits. Now, fast forward, he had a son named Eddie Shaver who was a phenomenal guitar player. This guy, he passed away in 1999. He was my guitar hero forever, and I tried to copy everything he did. When he passed away, I was like, wow. To put it short, he was more of a Stevie Ray Vaughan, Derek Trucks, and Jerry Reed had a baby. And he would do the chicken picking and do the blues stuff. And so the only person that played kind of hybrid style, which I play a hybrid style, where you don't really use a pick, but you also use your middle finger too. And he did a hybrid style. The other guy I saw do a hybrid style was Brad Paisley.
Oh, yeah. And people don't realize how good of a guitar player he is.
Oh, yeah. He is phenomenal. And his tone, I'm a tone hound, so I like that tone. So Paisley's kind of like my guitar, who I'm copying stuff after now. And he's one of the very few, you know, big artists that still do instrumentals. I love instrumentals. I can sit and listen to instrumentals and not even sing a word. So to boil it all down, of course, George Jones, Marty Raven from Shenandoah, Elvis Presley, Otis Redding, Travis Tritt. Put all those guys together and you got my vocals.
That's funny. You mentioned Travis Tritt there. I had a chance to work with Travis Tritt a couple times in the studio, and I can see a similarity between the two of you, the way that he approaches his music.
Yeah.
It was Emerald Studios in Nashville, and I was sitting in there setting up the studio, getting ready for everybody to come in, and he came in about an hour or so before everybody else. And not only did he remember me from an event at Sony a few years before that, he called me by name. He came in, asked me for a place to sit down, and he goes, I just need a quiet place to write a song. I said, what do you mean write a song? He goes, the song we're going to perform today, I got to go write it. So I was like, okay. So he went in the other room and he wrote the song. I get everything set up. The musicians show up. The lead session musician was there. Travis comes out, puts his leg up on a chair, puts a guitar on his knee, starts playing the song. The lead session guy picks up a piece of paper, charts it out, hands it to me. I make copies. I hand it to the musicians. They go in the room. 3.5 minutes later, the song's done.
Ain't that something?
It was just amazing. I mean, everything but vocals.
I never knew that.
And that was for the song Falcon Fever, which was the theme song for the Atlanta Falcons.
Ain't that something?
Very cool. But you mentioned something about your dad there being heavily into bluegrass and kind of grooming you guys in harmony parts and all of that. And that's pretty impressive. We had Jason Hale on the show a few months ago, and Jason's your bass player. And I went to see Jason a few weeks back play at Farm Jam, the Bluegrass Festival. Everybody that got up there was technically fantastic, just amazing. And I think that ability to play that well is probably what's given you the ability to just take on any musical style that comes your way. I mean, you are a true musician. You get up there and you're able to pick up the guitar, play any song, and just make it your own. So do you feel like that bluegrass foundation has given you that foundation of being able to perform all of these songs like you do?
Absolutely. Bluegrass, like growing up when I was younger, I didn't realize how complex it really is and how disciplined it really is. I mean, these guys that do bluegrass, let's say like Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver or J.D. Crowe, these guys sound better live than they do on the album.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes you can't even tell it's live. I mean, it's like they're so disciplined and so on point. I mean, they're not flat. They're not sharp. They're perfect. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. Yeah, and that kind of discipline. And like, my dad was a big banjo player. There's so many complex things that come together with banjo. It sounds simple, but it's not. And most of the time, they mix it themselves on stage. They will, you have one microphone. Yep. This guy be this far back. This guy be here. Bluegrass to me, I know some people might think it simple, but it's very not. I mean, some of the greatest players to ever play a guitar has started off playing bluegrass music. And I'm thankful to cut my teeth on that, to learn that, because rhythm, I've heard people ask the question, which one do you think is more important, lead guitar or rhythm guitar? And it's rhythm all day long. Because if you don't have the rhythm or that solid bass or that solid foundation, you can be the best guitar player and singer in the world. It don't mean nothing if it's off.
Right.
And like, go back to Jason. Jason has bluegrass roots, but Jason plays everything. He can go from Motown, funk, solid. And that's one reason I hire guys like him. It's less work for me. Just be a little greedy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to do as much. I can kind of just not even think about it. And one thing I like about bluegrass, besides the musician part of it, is the vocals. Vocals are just perfection. Like Doyle Lawson. If you sing with Doyle Lawson, you got to be awesome. He runs a tight ship.
It's a unit. And most of the time, it's a family unit. It's usually a family that's up there.
I like to have a band that's more of a family unit type. So many bands that, or have the band tight enough where, like my drummer Donnie will look at me and say, Avery, that sucks, or I didn't like that, They can be honest with you, and because if you're harboring some kind of itty bitty little bitty,
Resentment. Yeah.
it's going to fester, and then you grows to where you don't really like that guy, but you're playing music with him. And I did that once before in bands, and I don't like that. Just go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off of me, because I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to say something that might hurt your feelings. And it's not out of, but like my dad, growing up, he would hurt your feelings in front of people. If you were off, he'd let you know it real quick. But that's what you expect. Not perfection, but expect the endeavor to be perfect. You're not going to be, instead of just half-assing it. There's no half-assing in bluegrass.
No.
There is a great documentary out now on HBO Max called Tracks, Trax. It's about that studio in Memphis that popped out Sam and Dave, Otis Redding. They were country bumpkins putting out Motown music. And that passion, that raw, I really got off on that. No matter what I'm going to do, Jay, I'm going to do it with my heart wide open. And, when you're on stage singing in front of people, even talking in front of people, you feel vulnerable. You are vulnerable. It's like you rip your chest open to show all these vulnerable parts in it. And it's hard to do, knowing people are going to rip it out or make fun of you or say it's bad. So what I started doing, I don't play for the people out in the crowd, really. I don't care, because you're not going to satisfy everybody. If you play for yourself, you can't go wrong. So if you just satisfy yourself, if people like it, that's fine. If they don't, they can leave.
Well, that's what art's all about. So, art is supposed to please you. You do the art for yourself, and then the people who enjoy your art are the ones that you attract. That's the way it should be.
Going back to Travis Tritt.
Yeah.
Travis Tritt was a huge influence on me, as you can probably tell in my vocals. When he first came out, the only thing that was out then was the cowboy hat music, which nothing wrong with that. I like, you got your George Straits, you got your Clay Walkers, you got your, but he come out, him and Marty Stewart, the No Hats tour. This guy was rock and roll playing country music. And oh man, that really resonated with me. And he was coming out leather pants, man, playing rock and roll with a country slang, which now it's, I guess it's not right now. It's more hip hop now.
Hip hop or
more like rap infused country.
Right. Well, you mentioned Travis Tritt again there. He's got that same attitude that you have when he's on stage. He's got that, tough attitude, the aggressive attitude. We had Scotty Simpson on the show. Scotty Simpson played bass for Travis Tritt. So, he was on here telling some pretty amazing stories too. It's pretty cool to hear everybody's different viewpoint on one person. Like, I worked with them. Scotty played for him. He influenced you, and to hear everybody's different version of the same person is kind of cool.
A different version of the same person. I'm going to steal that, Jay. That's you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
We keep talking about the industry and how things have changed. And I know when you play these honky-tonks, it's like stepping back in time sometimes. Even Austin City Saloon the other night, it felt like it was stepping back at least 10, 15 years in time. So normally we talk about technology changing and stuff, but you mentioned the industry changing, how bar owners are expecting you to market shows for them these days. So do you feel like there's some sort of pressure on you to develop a brand and start working social media?
Yes, very much so. A lot of people, they got the money to pay somebody to do their social media, or, growing up, I'll be 47 this year. So I didn't have a smartphone till 2010,
right?
Maybe later. So I had to really dig in and do it my own. And there's a lot of times I'll get home and I'll just put my phone up and see it for the whole weekend. So to me, it's hard to get on there and do stuff because it makes me feel pretentious. I know some people's told me to get over that because it's not about that, but like to get on and make a video of me singing and, hey, listen to me, this is all about me. I'm like, let me do that. It's hard for me to do that and not feel pretentious.
Right.
So it's hard. There is a big push for that to get on there. And like I spent, like my YouTube channel, I didn't know how to maneuver YouTube. I barely used a computer. Me and the wife, we got us coffee going on weekends. So we stayed up the whole weekend and tried to figure out how to hashtag and maneuver YouTube to be able to post it and stuff. And man, I tell you what, once you get the hang of something, boom, it changes. It's totally different.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Something else has come out, Now, I love TikTok. As, with many other Americans, I enjoy TikTok, watching TikTok more than posting on TikTok. But I think TikTok is a real good platform for people nowadays because it's short and sweet mostly,
Hit the highlights.
Yeah, get the highlights. And they teach you stuff on TikTok, how to use it. So some OG ignorant ass like me can get on there and somewhat learn how to use it. But there is a big push for learning how to do it. It feels like someone told me the other day, who was it? A guy named Bill who owns Maiden City in Paris, which is a great place. He's like, Avery, you got to put yourself out there on social media. And I was telling him, I feel pretentious when I do that. Playing a show is different. It's my job. I'm getting paid to do this. But to get on there, I don't know. Hey, look at me.
Right.
That's what I feel like, But I've got to get out of that mentality. Back when I started, you made flyers. You made flyers and hung them up.
Yep.
Go all over town, hang them up. You remember, all that stuff. So now it's like, I don't know. I need to really break out of that. But it's hard to do also when you're home and the kids are running around and you got noise in the background. You can't really, I don't know. I'm making excuses, aren't I, Jay?
I got to tell it to you straight. That's what it sounds like there, buddy.
Yeah. I got to start doing more on there.
That's all right. So if we take your social media and the people who do follow you, you have a core group of people who follow you, and you have a core group of people who come see you perform. What do you hope that these people take away from seeing you?
You ask great questions, brother.
I appreciate it.
You ask great questions. That's what I hope they take away from seeing me. I hope they're blown away. I want to touch them in the sense of, I'll tell you what, an example. I was playing a club one night, and there at the end of the night, I did a gospel song. And something just hit me to do a gospel song, and I did. And, of course, there were some people got mad at me for doing that. That don't belong here. You shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, whatever, F off, walk, And then this old drunk dude, man, looked half homeless. Sat there all night long. Listen to me. He didn't dance. He just sat there. This dude comes staggering up to me at the end of the night. I'm wrapping up cables. He looked at me with tears in his eyes, Jay. He goes, man, I just want to thank you for that song. I said, what song? He said, that gospel. He said, my mom used to sing that song. He said, I haven't thought of my mom in years. And he was crying. And man, that's affecting me right now. To touch somebody like that.
Yeah.
To make them think of their mom. Because music to me, like I could be driving down the road, listen to a song, start crying, or get chills. It just affects me that way. To affect someone that way means more to me. That one person, not that 1,000 people, but that one guy, I made him cry, made him feel a certain way. He ain't felt in years, some old drunk. That meant more to me than singing, than the hottest girl come up to flash at me or whatever, or the money. That was worth it for me. That's what I hope they take away. Yeah. If I touch them in that way, that is success for me.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, sir. Well, we do this thing here we call Unsung Heroes, where we take the moment to shine the light on somebody who works behind the scenes or somebody who may have supported you along the way. Do you have anybody you'd like to shine a little light on?
Oh, I got many. There's so many people out there that musicians in a way. Well, you know what? I'm going to go with this. My oldest brother, I'm the second oldest of 4 boys, but my oldest brother, Donovan, he played guitar before I did. And he does not know this. He has no idea that he influenced me more than anybody, really. Growing up, he would bring in Tres Hombres, ZZ Top, or an old Leonard Skinner, or Eric Clapton stuff, and he would sit and play this stuff. And when I was learning my chords, my brother Donovan would show me this stuff, or slide guitar lick, or blues lick. He was a big Robert Johnson fan, big blues fan. And if it wasn't for my brother Donovan, I would not be at the level I am right now. Because he brought in the Eagles, Avery, check this song out, wow, it's awesome. What is this, So growing up with my brother Donovan, which is a phenomenal singer in his own self, but he had enough sense not to do it for a living. My brother Donovan probably would be one of my biggest heroes.
That's awesome.
And he has no idea. If I was to tell him that, he'd like, shut up. Now I'm gonna sing your praises just a little bit here, Jay. What I like what you're doing, you are doing music, not country, not metal, just music in general. Whatever and whoever brings it, you bring it on. I like that because you're the same way too. I like country music. I like metal. There's some rap I like. If it's good, you like it. And you're not just doing country artists or blues or metal. You're doing all of it. Like you have the Oak Ridge Boys. Then you had the Five Finger Death Punch. I like that. I respect that a lot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll leave you with this. My favorite quote by Ludwig von Beethoven. He said, "To play a wrong note is insignificant, but to play without passion is inexcusable."
A big thanks to Avery for taking the time to share his stories with us. And as always, thank you for taking the time to hang with me here. I really do appreciate it. If you know anybody that would appreciate hearing Avery's story or appreciate this episode, please be sure to pass it along. You can do that and find the links to everything mentioned over at jfranzi.com/episode 77. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Jay Franzi Show. Make sure you visit us at jfranzi.com. Follow, connect, and say hello. This episode has been brought to you by VR Knives, your source for 100% custom knives made by a true rock star. So, if you're in the market for a new piece of art, reach out to VR Knives. 407-421-5528. 407-421-5528.